A couple of weeks ago, I asked the question, are these obsolete? Pocket cameras, point-and-shoot cameras. This is the RX100 Mark II from Sony, and it's 10 years old. But I realized I have never compared this to a full-frame camera. So let's do that today. Once upon a time, it was a cold but bright day, and I went to the winter park here in my city, Östersund in Sweden. Well, that time was today, and the winter park is sort of an annual event that happens from late January until beginning of April every year, where you can walk on the ice, skate, barbecue, hot dogs, playground for the kids, and it's very popular, especially if the sun is up. And I was filming on my GoPro, but something weird happened. The gyroscope it was a bug or something. I searched on forums, and it says that it's a rare bug, and it usually resets itself if you take the battery out and put it in again. Have this happened to you if you own a GoPro? Please let me know in the comments. I don't feel alone with this bug. Anyway, I was taking my cameras to the winter park for taking pictures to compare the cameras. Remember that this video is not about taking great photos, it's about comparing cameras, and especially to see if the RX100 holds up against the Sony a7 IV. Right, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm starting with the RX100. Let's see if we can frame it like this. And then we have the a7 IV, something like this. And one more. In my opinion, both pictures are good. The RX100 is certainly good enough. Maybe if I would have a faster lens and chosen a wider aperture, I could blur out the background more on a full-frame setup. But that's not a fair comparison. That's not why you use a pocket camera. The next picture I took was on the ice, to see the people skating and walking on the ice. And here is the RX100. I want to do it like that. And one more. And the a7 IV. Here we have a clear winner though. The a7 IV have better dynamic range. It can handle the highlights and the shadows better than the RX100. Not saying that the RX100 is bad or lousy. It's just a difference between the two cameras with this type of shot. How about trying a portrait as a comparison? My friend Jens,
Hi there.
have agreed to act as a model, and the light is very flat, as you might see. So we're gonna try to do reflection, see how that works. Something like this. So I'm gonna try my a7 IV. I'm gonna try to make it like 85 mil, somewhere around there. And here we are with the reflection. Ett steg fram. Så, perfekt. Sorry for speaking Swedish, but there we have it.
Swedish.
Wonderful. Let's change camera to the RX100. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Let's compare these cameras in darker conditions. If I would handhold, it wouldn't be fair, because this sensor on the RX100 is so much smaller than the sensor on the a7 IV. I mean, the RX100 have a bigger sensor than most compact cameras, but it's still smaller than a full-frame camera. So that wouldn't be fair at all. But how about if we put the cameras on a stand? So that's what I'm going to try now. I'm going to try to take picture of the city hall in my city, Östersund in Sweden. A beautiful building, and it's midnight nearly. I chose this time because there's no traffic. So let's try it. I will start with the RX100. And the annoying thing is that you can't have a camera plate on it, because then you can't open the battery door. or the door for the SD card. I have a plate in my pocket, but it's annoying that you have to take it on and off all the time. They could have put the hole in a different position. Hey, come on. Let's turn it on. And let's see where we are. I will go for f4, which should be like f9 or 10 on the full frame. I'm guessing, that's my gut feeling. It's a 2.7 crop factor. f4, that should be like f11 on a full frame sensor. Yeah, sort of. Okay. So let's go for f4. I also put this on a 2-second timer, but I think f4 is still too shallow depth of field, even from this small camera. So I'm gonna try f8. Now let's compare it with the Sony a7 IV. The Sony a7 IV with the wide-angle lens. The lens I have is Tamron 17 to 28. So I will put it on 28 because this is 28. If you wonder if it's cold, well, it's -3 degrees Celsius, which is not terribly cold. We have had colder this winter, but my hands is starting to freeze a bit. But I have these gloves. I can take out my finger like this and adjust things on my camera. My conclusion is that I will keep both of my cameras. They are good for different purposes. This can't compete with a full-frame camera in most situations, but there are also situations where this comes in handy. If I'm going on a travel, for example, and I walk during the day with my full-frame setup, and I'm going out for dinner in the evening, and I don't want to carry a camera bag that's bulky and just feel awkward walking into a good restaurant with it, but I can have this in my pocket and have a good camera with me at all times. Also, it's more discreet. Doing street photography or something, not that I'm good at that, I want to get better at it, but I feel much more discreet, stealthy with this camera than a full frame setup. Let me end this with a wish list, what I wish pocket camera will have in the future. So Sony, Panasonic, Canon, are you listening now? This is a good size. I like the size of this. This is pocket camera size. But I want a flip-out screen, a touchable flip-out screen, better menu system than this, preferably. I want a pop-up viewfinder instead of a flash. We don't need flashes on pocket cameras. We have a hot shoe. Skip the flash. A viewfinder is much better. One of the most important things is change this screw hole, change the placement on this screw hole to somewhere around here. Because if you put a camera plate here, you can't open the battery door and change SD cards and batteries. This is just stupid, and you know it. You know it. You just put the hole there to annoy us. I'm sure of it. I like the focal range on this. This is about 28 millimeters to 105 millimeters full frame equivalent. And the widest aperture is 1.8. And I'd rather have that than a longer focal range. If you can do both, fantastic. I also want features like, if you're an aperture priority, that you can set the minimum shutter and maximum ISO, because ISO on a small sensor like this will not be the best. Therefore, I want to have a maximum ISO. So I can set my camera on auto, change the aperture, take the picture, and I know that the ISO won't go higher than 2000 or something. I want a mic input, and I want USB-C charging while the camera is on. I want to record in 4K 30, and I want unlimited recording time. And maybe you can do that in a small compact camera like this, but do it in 1080 then. 1080, 60 frames per second, unlimited recording time. Is that too much to ask?